What is up, guys? It's Swimmer here, back again with another video. This time we're going to be doing a Season 7 preview. I realized that season 7 has already started, so this is a little bit late. I was delaying because I was hoping to get the information about the move rebalance, which, if you guys read the announcement from Niantic, they said that more information on the move rebalance would be coming. However, nothing has come as of yet, and Season 7 has started, so this leads me to believe that the move rebalance or anything like that won't actually occur until halfway through the season, like we saw with the mid-season balance for Season 6. That means that really all there is to talk about is the schedule and then the restricted formats, as well as a couple of other little housekeeping items that they mentioned in there. So let's go ahead and talk about the schedule. So Season 7 is going to follow a pretty similar structure to what we've been used to. 2 weeks of Great League, 2 weeks of Ultra, and then a week of Master League and Great League combined. I do like that they have Master League and Great League running alongside each other because it really allows the people that might not have the ability to grind Stardust and Candy quite as much as somebody else the opportunity to compete. Master League needs a lot of resources, even Master League Classic, and some people just can't play enough to be competitive. So having Great League there really lets them stay competitive and join without necessarily having tons and tons of resources. Um, then we've got all three leagues for a bit. Then we're going to have that mid-season reset. That's where I'm expecting any move updates to come out. And then we're going to have the first restricted cup called Great League Remix. We'll talk more about that in a second. Then another 2 weeks of Ultra Premier, Master League, and Retro Cup. And again, we'll talk about more about the Retro Cup in a minute. And then all three leagues again towards the end of the season, May 17th to May 24th. Ranked play will end on May 24th, and then we'll finish with a week of Kanto Cup like they did with this past season. I'm not sure exactly how I feel about having the last week of the season being unranked. I know that some people might find it frustrating if they didn't get to the rank that they wanted. On the other hand, I really do like the idea of having some form of unranked play available so that you can try out new things. You can, you know, do new teams, new moves, etc., and really not feel the pressure of having it impact your rating so much. So I do think it's all right to give for Niantic to do things like this. I'm just not sure that always at the end of the season is the right call. But that's all right. I think that they're still experimenting, and we'll see this sort of thing change up in the future. So let's talk about the restricted formats. So Great League Remix is going to be banning the top 10 most common picks, and then basically allowing all other Great League Pokemon. So I'm guessing that this is going to be the top 10 most common picks from this initial first 2 weeks of Great League, so from March 1st to March 15th. It's possible that they'll include, this next week here where we've got Great League coming back in at the end of March. But my guess is that it's just going to be the 1st to the 15th. But it's a guess based on no information, so what do I know? Um, I'm just thinking that they'll want time to actually code in the allowable Pokemon. But what this is going to mean is that Pokemon like Azumarill, Galarian Stunfisk, Tropius are likely to be banned, and some Pokemon that really haven't been able to make it in the meta because they have bad matchups against those Pokemon might have a chance. So, in particular, electric types are really held down in the Great League by Galarian Stunfisk. Um, for example, Alolan Raichu was sort of becoming prevalent as a core breaker, being able to take out both Azu and Reggie until Galarian Stunfisk came along and replaced Reggie as the steel type of choice, and then basically electric types evaporated from the meta because they're just walled so hard by Galarian Stunfisk. So I'm expecting electric types to have a bit of a resurgence. But then aside from that, it's really going to come down to the other Pokemon that end up being banned. I'll just double check really quickly that it is in fact the top 10 Pokemon. Let me scroll down here. Uh, yeah, so the 10 most used Pokemon, yeah. So that is going to be pretty interesting. And we'll really have to wait and see what those 10 most used Pokemon are before we know what the strongest Pokemon in this meta are going to be. The next one is the Retro Cup. So this is coming mid-May, so there's quite a lot of time to prepare. And what we're going to see in this cup is that Dark, Steel, and Fairy types will be banned. And so for those of you that don't know, in the original games, Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, there were actually only 15 types instead of 18. There were Psychic type, or sorry, there were basically everything but Dark, Steel, Fairy. Then in Generation 2, Dark and Steel were introduced to help balance the Psychic typing. And then in Generation 4, I think, Fairy types were introduced to help balance the Dragon typing. So in Generation 1, without Dark and Steel Pokemon, Psychic types absolutely steamrolled everything else. And that's because the only type of Pokemon that resisted Psychic were other Psychics. So they're dealing, at worst, neutral damage. And there were a few other reasons that Psychic types steamrolled in Generation 1 as well. There were no good bug types that could oppose them. A lot of ghost type Pokemon, or ghost type moves at least, didn't actually deal damage based on like an attack stat or something like that. If you had like Nightshade, which dealt based on your level or something like that. So there were a few reasons that Psychic types were overpowered, but one of them is that nothing resisted them. So Dark and Steel being omitted means that Psychic types are going to be absolutely ridiculous in this meta. Um, Now, without Fairy types, and again without Steel types, there is absolutely nothing that resists Dragon, including other dragons. So Dragon is going to deal neutral or super effective damage to everything. Obviously, super effective only to other dragons. And again, this was something that in Generation 1 it wasn't a huge problem because there weren't a lot of Dragon type moves or a lot of Dragon type Pokemon. But by the time you got a few generations in, it really started to be quite obvious that Dragon types were overpowered. So I'm expecting Dragon types to also rise to the cream of the crop in this meta, and in particular, Dragon Breath users. So basically, that's going to mean that the meta centers around Psychics and Dragons and their direct counters. At least that's my initial take on this. Obviously, PvPoke has some ratings up right now, and it'll sort of be interesting to see exactly what comes out. But that's what my guess is. So, yeah, I think that'll be really interesting. So Pokemon like Frostlass, which does very well against dragons and pretty well against psychic types, will probably do really well. Pokemon like Jellicent also might be up in there with that ghost typing, but with the Ice Beam coverage. So that'll be very interesting, but I think it will not be a particularly balanced cup because it is going to be so dominated by the psychics and the dragon types. And actually, in particular, I'm thinking that Cresselia is going to be a monster because it does have access to Moonblast. So obviously, the Pokemon types are being banned, but their moves, you can still have moves of those types. So Cresselia is going to have access to Moonblast. That's going to be able to hit the dragons for super effective damage. So I think that Cresselia is going to be a really strong pick because there's going to be nothing that's resisting um, the psychic types. So, the confusion damage will be very strong, and then you'll have Moonblast there. So, but we'll have to wait and see. So, yeah, that's pretty much Season 7. The only other thing that's worth mentioning is that you will be able to earn more XL candy than normal when you encounter certain Pokemon. So that's going to be Poliwhirl, Flaffy, Pupitar, Medicham, Scraggy, Galvantula, Lampent, and Stunfisk. So some of those are definitely Pokemon that you want. XL Candy Force, Stunfisk, Galvantula, and Scraggy, and I guess Medicham in particular are quite interesting, so make sure to keep a lookout for that. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.